Hey guys, it's coreross and welcome to 6 News. So today we have a designer notes for the mid-season. So this is basically the stuff we've been going over recently, and first of all we got it in the Hot Breach podcast, the special edition here. So if you want to go watch that, there'll be a link in the description below to this page where you can go check it out. And of course we've got our win deltas now in a nice graphical form. We've seen them before in their kind of internal actual look when they're with Ubisoft, and this is the public-facing one where they actually get jazzed up. Look at Glass, oh my god. So we'll go through these. They've got two balancing graphs. We've got the ban ones as well. We've got the upcoming changes, and we've got the current state of different operators. Some very interesting stuff here. So let's just start with the balancing graphs to begin with. So the biggest standout here is obviously Glass down here at -5%, completely off the chart. And they're going to try and fix that by giving him a faster fire rate, which I expect isn't going to help him much, but it'll certainly go up from where it currently is. But overall, he's just looking terrible. Quite a good collection of operators here. Of course, we do want them in the center here, but this isn't the worst. No one's like crazy far out doing anything nuts. So actually, I think the attackers are doing pretty good. Of course, we've got a lot down here that we're having some major issues with. Amazingly, most of them are actually new operators. We've got Amaru, we've got Nokk. So having real issues with the new ones coming in now and being too weak. They used to be almost too powerful. Now they come in too weak. However, a large amount of them are doing pretty well when it comes to win rate. The pick rate maybe on these guys isn't great at all, but it's definitely not the worst. So overall, I think I'm kind of happy with the attackers graph. You guys let me know what you think in the comments below, but no one's really standing out too bad. They do mention later on that they're going to look into Blackbeard because he is winning more games. Now, I think that might be down to recently anyway, he got kind of a nice little buff that was based on the weapon coming up quicker, as Rogue 9 did a little investigation. So he's getting kind of a nice little boost from that. So that is probably going to need a little bit of a nerf in the future, as we'll see later. But let's move on to the defenders. The defenders is not looking as good, much more spread out, although we do have a nice collection of operators right in the center here. And what the hell, Chachanka? What? How did you get here? You were all the way down here. He was like -3 before. This is nuts. How did Chachanka get up here? He's better than Warden, Clash, Castle, Goyu, even Kaid and Smoke. What? How? How did you get a better win rate than all these operators? And then, yeah, Jaeger. So, Jaeger, I think, would be getting nerfed right now like crazy if it wasn't for the rumor that we're supposedly getting a Jaeger 2.0 next season. And if that's the case, of course, that could potentially half his pick rate if the Jaeger has a decent ability similar to Jaeger and has maybe a decent gun. So we could see him coming actually back down to normal after that. But like, that's crazy. He's in 90% of the goddamn games in Platinum and Diamond ranked, which I don't think we've had anyone quite so high before. Maybe we have, but I don't remember anyone getting that dominant. Even though his win rate obviously isn't the best, still, it's far too much that he's showing up. So hopefully that Jaeger 2.0 next season is going to solve that. Of course, that's a leak, not confirmed, but we think, and actually the fact that they're not balancing him in this makes me think that there's definitely a Jaeger 2.0 next season. And we've got our trap operators up here with a really good win delta this season. They say that every season these two kind of move together up and down, and they don't know why, because there's not really been any major changes to either of them in a long time, but they keep moving up and down this graph. I'm actually amazed by the win delta of Ella. I'm also amazed by the pick rate of Rook. He's still winning games, but he's actually not getting picked much, whereas Doc is getting picked a lot more, but is losing far more games than Rook, even though, of course, they get the same loadout. So, quite interesting. Mozzie right here in the center, along with Maestro. This is really good to see these guys right in the center. Very, very good. Even Echo, Pulse, Alibi, everyone else is doing pretty good for win rate, even Cav. So I think overall it's not as bad as it looks like when I first look at this graph and think, oh, they're a bit spread out. They're not actually doing that bad. So let's pop down to the ban rates. So this is the top 10 attackers, and it's Platinum and Diamond, Year 4, Season 3, of course, Jackal, 73%. then Montang, Blackbeard, Nomad. So yeah, I hopefully this is what I'd love to see from Pick and Ban in the future is maybe like, I don't know, 4 operators in a line down here that are kind of equally balanced out. That there's not just one that's an auto ban. And not even for just Platinum and Diamond, because I know obviously this happens in pretty much every rank. So I'd love to see this balance out. And if this balances out, so we have like 4 that are top picks for bans, I think that'd make Pick and Ban to me be successful. So I'm very curious because I found when I tested the Mythbusters for Jackal and his new changes, it did seem like there was actually a major decrease in frustration potential. So I do hope it works, and maybe it will. Then we've got the ban rate for defenders. Now, I think this is better because we obviously have 2 instead of just 1 here. And even though the ban rates are very high, these are definitely both very tactical defenders to ban, especially for certain maps, especially Echo when he can stop the diffuser. So it is good to see these 2 quite high up, even though it's obviously a little bit higher than I'd like. I'd love to see a couple more operators up here, but overall, it's a better graph than the attackers. I think the defenders here is looking a bit better for ban rates, and hopefully this will balance out. I do wonder what the devs are going to do, because obviously you can't really nerf Mira without wrecking her, because her ability is so good for just certain maps. I can't imagine them actually being able to successfully nerf her or make her less frustrating. And I think, to be honest, it's probably good that she gets banned because it is a much more tactical ban. But we'll see how Pick and Ban kind of develops onwards, so it is interesting. And then here we got the upcoming changes. Of course, we've seen these in the Hot Breach podcast. We've also seen them in the test server now, and we're now seeing them here. So we're just going to go over this quickly. The F2 is going to go from 30 to 25 rounds. Warden is getting changed to a 2-speed, and Glass is getting an increase in fire rate. So I'm curious, obviously, to how this will kind of pan out. If we go and look at Twitch's balancing graph, we can see she doesn't have a crazy win rate or anything like that, but apparently her weapon is the best on attack. So they just want to give it a slight nerf, and I think that will be a slight nerf. So yeah, like I want to see where she ends up after this, but be curious. Of course, Warden down here not doing well, and I don't see him going to a 2-speed being enough to push him up, but perhaps it will. The also Glass, I don't see him getting pushed up much as well. Then onto this. This is new information. So Blackbeard, they're seeing him increasing in his win rate. So I think this is due to the kind of shadow buff he got by everyone's weapons being quicker now to aim, and I think that Blackbeard benefited the most from that, because I believe Rogue 9's findings were that even with the shield on it's faster, but I'm not entirely sure, but I think that's probably going to be part of it. So they do say they're going to be looking at tweaking him in the future. Now that's probably not going to be the next season, maybe the next mid-season balancing patch. That's my kind of guess anyway. Then Nokk, this is awesome, and this is going to be very exciting for a lot of people, because they're actually talking about changing her loadout. Now, of course, that could be secondary gadgets or stuff like that, but the way I take this is better guns. So, the MP7 or something like that replacing the current SMG. I could see that happening very, very much in this. So, yeah, that is interesting, but that's going to be either next season or next mid-season. That is a future change. Then we've got Kaid. Now, they say here we're not quite ready to give more details as this is a work in progress, but they did go into more details in the podcast where they talked about potentially increasing the radius of the Electroclaw to electrify 3 reinforced walls with 1. Now, that was one of the potentials, so there's going to probably be at least another couple of ideas that they're playing with, but that's one of the potential ones they might go with. They did see some potential problems with it when you're being able to reinforce a hatch from very far away with that radius. However, this could be something, but maybe there's a way to fix that. Maybe you can reinforce 3 walls with a big radius, but maybe a smaller radius for roof hatches or something like that. Then we've got the Jackal. Now this is the rework that I've gone over in the Mythbusters. There's 2 big changes. So they've been going over these quite a lot, which is the difference in pings. So if you've got the red footprints, you'll get 4 pings plus the 1 initial one. you scan the yellow ones, you get 3 plus the one initial one, and green and blue. So the older the prints are, the less pings you get. But the big thing I found was that the actual footprints are deleted after you scan them, which means you can't actually scan people twice anymore without having to go and find brand new prints that have been made after you've started those pings. So yeah, while doing my Mythbuster episode on Jackal, I really did find a glimmer of hope that he will get banned less in the future, because I do feel like it is far less frustrating. But there's still the potential for it to not to work because people just don't like getting pinged at all. So that's all we have for the blog on the balancing changes. Of course, we've heard about these a lot. They're on the test server now. I expect that we might actually get the patch sometime probably after Halloween, I would expect. Maybe kind of early November, perhaps. That's when I think it might launch. But we'll have to wait and see. Might get it before then. So anyway, guys, what I'm going to do is leave you with a run through of all the balancing graphs for attackers and defenders for over a year now, so you can actually see how it's developed over time as the balancing team has attempted to kind of balance out all these operators. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will catch you next time.